All right. Welcome back to Building CareCo. We're going to do a little mini series here. You're used to seeing our wonderful, my co-founder CTO Shloime who is away in Israel for a couple weeks. And so we're going to do a mini series with the incredible Shlomo Wolf. Shlomo is the head of content at CareCo. Shlomo is responsible for everything that you've seen from CareCo, from podcasts to animation, awesome feature videos, to our website, to basically anything with design and strategy and thinkingness. And so you've been also our Jamie, kind of behind there and answering a lot of questions. And you've kind of always been in the podcast, but behind the camera. And now you are here. So happy to see you, Shlomo.
No,
God bless.
Here.
Now you're here. So how's CareCo going?
It's good. Which aspect of CareCo?
Well, the content, I guess. Marketing.
It's going good. This week has been, I've picked it up a bunch this week.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah. You've been kicking out a lot of stuff.
I think we got out like 7 or 8 pieces this week.
Yeah.
Which
got a lot
has been
done.
fun.
Yeah.
I've been working in a VR headset.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I got a VR.
Okay.
And I sit there on like a couch. I have it on my head and I have a giant movie theater screen in front of me. Like one here, one to the side.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And that's how you edit and you do everything?
That's how I've been doing it this week. It's been pretty good.
And it's been good?
Yeah.
Which VR did you get?
The Meta Quest 3.
Wow.
Yeah. And they put out some new update. I used to use it and it was very blurry.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, they updated something and it's crisp. It's fast.
Doesn't give you headaches?
No.
Does it sit on your head and start hurting your head?
So I got a special strap that there's like a lot of head support.
It's got a little yarmulke.
It like goes over and on the sides and you can tighten it. And I got a special face pad that's like, it's like a ice leather. So it doesn't like get super hot. I mean, my face after using it, I have like marks on my face.
That's amazing.
But it's been pretty cool.
Working.
It's been working for, yeah.
That's so
it's
cool.
It's literally a giant theater. It's like I'm sitting in a theater editing, yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't even know you were doing that. That's hilarious.
Super cool, yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like, the whoever listens to the podcast has probably so much to learn about you, but let's start with our recent, we've done a good amount of trips together. We've gone to DC now twice?
2 or 3 times, yeah. I think twice. We went to Maryland once.
Oh, right. Yeah. And now we went to DC, went to the White House. There's like, and on, let's start here. On the way to DC, you and I were talking and we were chatting about, finding the biggest hill you can climb, and like, I thought that was a really good concept and, worth talking about. So, we're talking about, you've had previous experiences, you've been at other companies, and CareCo is obviously a wild ride. And we were talking about kind of in the framework of like decision making of like, how big to go and levels of risk to take and like different ways of thinking about things. And we were talking about, and you had said, well, one of the framings that makes a lot of sense to you is like, what is the biggest hill you can climb? So yeah, how has CareCo been for you based on your past experiences as a hill to climb so far?
It's a good question. Well, okay, so the way I look at CareCo is, I feel like right now we're like here, but the hill is coming up. Like right now I feel I'm pretty in my comfort zone. I'm getting pushed a little bit, like with having a ton on my plate and having to organize it and still be productive and get all the different things done. But to me, I see the bigger hill for me is learning how to run a team, hire people, maybe even fire people. I don't know. And then also working with other departments. So like working with a product like Shloime and Menachem as product, building the product, from the marketing side and working with you or with sales or whatever. Yeah. I feel like that's an area where I'm going to have to learn that skill set as opposed to like having the skill set already.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
fair. Yeah, I feel like you've developed a lot of the things that you did before, and you're right. You're being pushed on like speed and quantity, and like I feel like strategy is a thing that you're doing probably a lot more here because you are the strategy. Like have to think through like the top down from like the website to the way the content communicates to like what is the, what platforms are we using for content and when we put things out. And you think through those things very, very deeply, and you always have like a thought process behind whatever you're doing.
Right.
It's like strategy, speed, and like just quantity. I feel like you've probably been pushed on, but yeah, absolutely. The hill gets bigger as it literally gets bigger with more people and more,
What about for you? What do you think the hill is?
I think there's been a lot of hills that we've, climbed that I feel like a lot of times you don't realize that you're climbing the hill until you've climbed it. And then you look behind you and you're like, cool, we did that. Look, like we're up here now.
Yeah.
And like, I saw a post a little bit ago from Scott Becker on LinkedIn. He was talking about like the four stages of like a startup. And I don't remember the exact things, but it was like, finding a product, convincing a team to work on it, getting users, getting revenue, and then like profitability. Like there's these steps, you know what I mean? And when you're starting a company or when you're going through an early stage startup stage, like all those just either happen or unfortunately they don't and the company shuts down, but they kind of just happen because they have to happen. Like that's, you know what I mean? Right. It really is like being born. Like a young child technically goes through all these stages. They don't realize they're going through these stages until they're like, right. Oh my God, I'm walking. That's cool.
Right.
But yeah, so like I feel like we've climbed a lot of mini hills. I do agree that like it's kind of like compounding mountains or like little, you go up and then you have a ledge and then you go up and then you have a ledge. So, obviously coming up with an idea and then going from idea to like MVP and then convincing people to come and actually build this thing. And then it actually working and then people using it and then people being happy with it and then people paying for it and then partnerships and then, so a lot of those things have been, I think, really cool. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think we're at the base of the mountain. And I think that, it's going to get faster and crazier and bigger and more people and bigger decisions. And yeah, it'll probably get scarier and more exhilarating because it's just like, the higher you climb, the further you can fall and the bigger you're doing things, the bigger decisions you're making, the more people that are involved, the more people you're responsible for. And so, the more patients are on the platform, the more
more risk.
There's obviously more risk and more. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it's been, not to minimize what we've done, until now, but I definitely do feel that we're just like getting started.
Yeah. I feel like now, like when people climb Mount Everest or whatever, they have to like go with other people that like live over there, like these indigenous people that carry their stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're still like packing our bags.
Yeah.
For
at base camp.
For to, before going on the trek.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Which is, by the way, that's actually a very apt analogy because all those people left their families, traveled all the way to wherever the hell Mount Everest is, bought the gear, trained with the gear. They probably trained for a long time. Then it's not a small trek to get up to base camp. Like to get up to there and then they're finally prepped and they've already gone through some abuse and weather and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, now's the climb. You know what I mean? And it's a very apt analogy because so many people don't get there. So many people wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. Then they go to their regular job and they come home and they never do. And then other people start training and then they stop training. And then other people, buy the gear and then don't make the trip. And other people make the trip and then they get there and then they chicken out. And then, you know what I mean? So like the people that are at base camp are already a very, very select few, but they still haven't climbed Everest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good analogy. I like that one.
Thanks.
You come up with good analogies.
Thanks. Yeah. Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Because this is your second company.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, at least in my head, it's almost like I see you as you've already climbed a hill of building a company. How do they compare? Like, is that one just like a little hill, like that you go sledding down, or is that like?
Yeah. So my first company is, Proviva Health Group is a service-based company that does care coordination, the actual service side. And for those that are not, that's how I came up with CareCo, because we approached it from a problem. I'm like, you know what we have to do here. The nature of the two businesses are extremely different. I'd say that I cut my teeth on, and I probably don't appreciate it enough in the context of CareCo, because all I see are the differences, because you don't see the similarities because they're similar. You've lost them already.
Right.
But I've definitely cut my teeth on just like the basics of building a company. Just, I don't know, like, but even like, okay, I'll start with the differences. The biggest difference is that a service-based company, you can typically build brick by brick. So you basically start a company, you start doing something yourself, you make enough money to hire one employee. Like, I remember the first time I hired somebody part-time for a couple hours in Texas to like go around to a doctor's office and enroll patients. And it was like the guy who ran the offices, it was his wife, and she was, you know, like, so, and I felt like $1 million. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like providing, like I have done a thing that has contributed money and value to society. Like, it was like the craziest concept to me that there was a woman in Texas that was running around for a couple hours a week that was getting paid by me. Like, it was like the craziest thing. I was so proud of it, you know? And, yeah, that was way back when. And then you make enough money to hire somebody full time. And then that person, and you make enough money to hire 2 people, and then 3, 4 people, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, and then we grew it to like 30 people. But you go in a very linear kind of fashion. And so your risk is also is almost non-existent. I mean, you always have risk. I mean, there were times so when I started Proviva, all the care was outsourced to a third-party company, but it was not profitable either at all. And so the first thing I had to do was like switch vendors, understand the business, make it profitable, which I did. And even that was great. And then what happened was I moved to Pennsylvania, and I was like, okay, now I'm just super bored, because there was literally nothing to do. Like, once you get the basics of the company going, it's just on autopilot. And so, like, the end of the month, I had to send some invoices, and like, if once in a while there was a fire I had to put out and be like, oh, there's a complaint. Okay, vendor, here's the issue. But like, it wasn't really doing anything, but it was working. And I'll never forget, I called Israel, who's been on the podcast, friend of the pod. No, I'm joking. And strategic advisor at CareCo. And I said, you know, we've been succeeding at like level 1, but I think it's time that we like take this up to level 10, and either the whole thing will burn down or we'll succeed. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, for sure. So that's when we started hiring people. And to me, hiring people felt like the biggest risk, because that was a whole bunch of unknown. Hiring people, what does that look like? Like, I was interviewing people at Starbucks because I didn't have an office space. And I was like, I'm not going to get an office space till I have a reason to have an office space. But then I realized you can't interview people at Starbucks. So like, the big leap for me was like going and buying or renting office space, because it was like, okay, I'm taking a risk on the fact that I will hire people and that it will work out, you know?
Right.
So took that risk and then hired people. And then, yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, you are definitely taking risk, and I shouldn't minimize it, because back then, like, I'm sure in the future, I'll be thinking of the risks I'm taking at CareCo as like non-risks, right? Because when it works out in retrospect, it's like obvious that was what you meant to do. So you're like bringing me back then, and like the feelings, and I guess, yeah, it was scary, but at the end of the day, it was very linear. And a tech company by nature is you have a lot of upfront costs. Like, you can't build a tech company linearly. Like, you can't like do this piece of the code and then this piece of the code. And then this is like, you have to have a working product for the first customer. And then, you know, so there's a lot more upfront costs when it comes to building a tech company. Obviously, the unit economics are much, much better in the long run, because in a service-based company, one person can handle X amount of patients, and that's the end of the story. And then you're just stacking those blocks. In a tech company, this team can handle this, right? So the unit economics long-term are much different and much better, which is why, you know, the multiples and the valuations are so different in a SaaS or a tech company than a service-based company. But at the end of the day, it's much more, it's much different. So that's one major difference, that a tech company is kind of worse.
Right. So you never like had, like this idea of like, oh, we're going to be profitable soon.
Yeah.
With Proviva. It's just like you're always profitable and you just keep reinvesting.
Yeah. I was always profitable. When I took it over, it wasn't profitable, but that's just because it wasn't like it just wasn't run. Yeah. Like, it just had to be fixed a little bit. But once you got it fixed and up and running, it's just like, okay, now we have the money reinvested, hire people. the other core difference that's really nice is the type of people that you get to work with in a company like this, because this company is all about, like, every single person is a leader. Every single person owns their piece of the, of the puzzle, so your content, marketing, strategy, Shloime's CTO, Menachem has his projects. I'm doing my thing. Everyone is like, has to operate beyond the top of their license, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a certain type of person that you get to work with. Like, we're all just adults. We're not like, we're all very communicative, and we try to be upfront with each other, and whether it's feedback or just a communication, and expectations from each other, it's a much higher level of operating than a service-based business where, often, it's just the job title is different there. So
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I definitely love that part of this job of CareCo, that it's like, it's more so a team as opposed to like employer employees type of
absolutely.
concept.
No such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And then, we're already like, we just went to the White House, and like, that was awesome. Right.
But that was because of like a hill you started years ago.
Yeah.
But still, it's very cool.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm saying from your lens, like, being part of this wild journey, it's probably comes with like a lot of random exciting things that you you wouldn't have in random
that was. I mean, I can't imagine any other scenario where I would be in the White House
having breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we obviously keep kosher, and so we get there, we just got like coffee and fruit and stuff. But the waitress is like, what would you like? And there's a set menu. We're like, yeah, so we're not actually here to eat. We're just here to have breakfast in this really cool dining room. Yeah. But it was so cool. There was like that cabinet where there was the different plates from all the different presidents going back 100 years or whatever. Not 100 years. I think it was opened in like 1960s, but and it's not 2060.
And they all designed their own plate.
Yeah, they all designed their own plate, but it stopped a little bit ago. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. What else? Any like, because I recently had a thought about this in my own line of work, but I want to ask you for you first. Even though it's only been, I don't know, how long you've been, 6 months, something like that?
Almost 8.
8 months. Are there any like lessons learned or mistakes that you made early on from like a strategy or design perspective that or like resource allocation for yourself that you would do differently in retrospect?
You're saying since like,
just since starting.
CareCo wise?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I feel like the way I kind of have approached it is just like, I used to be a big planner. Like, I would try to plan everything out, like every little detail. I'm going to do this first, and then this is going to happen, and then, and eventually I learned that that's a great way to procrastinate. and also it also could lead to just like not even starting, because there's like almost like a fear of failure of like, every single thing has to work out. So my mindset now is much more just like, have a theory, try it. You're going to get immediate feedback from the world, and then iterate and keep iterating, So in the beginning, trying to even like remember. The first few months was like building a website. Like, I felt there was a lot of foundational stuff that didn't exist. Like, there was a website, but it wasn't optimized really for sales. Yeah, exactly. So there was like building a website, and then there was like actually making product videos. That was a big focus, and just like getting what CareCo is out there. And then I feel like now it's transitioned more into just like content, like consistent, like the Healthcare Trailblazers podcast, this podcast. It's also because we haven't released new products, new features for a little bit. So it's become more of like evergreen kind of stuff as opposed to like splashy stuff. But I think once we come out with the texting and video and ambient, that's going to be another flash.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to update the website and, do that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the question of would I change things in retrospect my answer to that is always no, because I don't know, I'm here.
We're here.
Really? So, and it's impossible to answer that question.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's almost a waste of time, but not, I mean, it's good to reflect and learn from your past, but I think it could be a mistake to just be to ruminate on what, no, I should have done this different. I could have.
Yeah. I don't mean particular actions. I mean more okay. So let me tell you what I'm thinking, what I've been thinking about, and then I think you'll get where I'm going with this. So I realized recently that and I haven't done this already for a while, but I feel like I'm catching it now, and I've already changed it, but it's very important to change this. And realizing that I probably would have done this differently a little bit, but from an energy perspective on sales and connections for the first couple months of the year. And again, it hasn't been a very long time. So I don't feel like and to your point, this all comes from iterating fast, failing fast, pivoting, learning. So I feel like I spent a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around very, very, very big name partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because we got a lot of interest from extremely large companies, most of which haven't panned out to the point that I can even talk about them even on the podcast, which is part of the lesson. But because I've had exposure and have exposure and talked to a lot of people at these literally Fortune, I don't know, 100 or 200 companies, and they get excited about CareCo, and then we start talking about partnerships and these big ideas, and it's very exciting, but they're so far, they sound cool. The number of them that actually work out are very, very, very few. And those ideas are often really far removed from the actual user. So it'll be a massive company that has a sub thing, that has a thing, that has a thing, that has care coordination, that has care coordinators. It's so far removed from the user. And I think that it was a bit of a waste of energy and false excitement, even though it did sound cool. And and I think a lot of people, I think people do this much worse when they raise right away, because then they have to chase these flashy names. But I think recently it's become a lot more apparent and important to just find where the actual users are. Where are those people that are sitting in offices making phone calls? Who's their boss? Find that guy. Talk to him. That's the only person that really matters now.
Off the record, I'll bleep it. What's one of these companies? What's an
these
example?
Big companies?
Yeah, that.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
Who do I have?
I remember that in the beginning.
Yeah, we had remember we were even going to put it up on the site. We partners and stuff.
Yeah.
We have and I mean, I did just go to a Samsung partners event last night, so we could talk about that. But these massive ideas that could be can you imagine CareCo partnering with, and you'll bleep all the company names out, but
yeah,
that would be really cool. But it's such a big idea that it's so far from the actual person, the actual human that's just on the phone talking to patients. Who's that person? Just focus on that person. Who's their boss, And so we start talking about really dialing in on the buyer persona. And I think that's who it is. Who is that person? Who's their boss? Who's making the decision, what technology they use, and who are the people using technology to talk to patients? That's pretty much the only two people that matter. These big ideas and these big companies, it's exciting, but it's a waste of energy.
Right. So the lesson there was basically get as close to the user as possible.
Yeah. Focus. Where are you focusing? Stop focusing on talking to people at, Amazon. Yeah, it's a nice idea. Amazon has Amazon Health. And can you imagine a partnership with Amazon? That'd be super cool. But how many miles is that removed from the actual person that's using CareCo?
Right.
Very far removed.
Right.
I think the proper course is to find a million of the people that actually do the thing, and then you come to the big companies and make big partnerships. Sure, no problem. But it's very superficial.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it was a waste of energy in retrospect.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
But it's also to I guess prove myself. at the same time, you couldn't have learned that lesson without
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. I'm not there's a difference between there's a difference between like learning and looking back at a mistake and then regretting the thing. I'm not saying I regret the time that I did. I'm just saying that I'm very happy that, to your point, we're not 4 years into this being like, oh, it's like took a couple months and I see what's working, I see what's not working. And it's like the things that are working are the people that are actually using your product because they're actually excited about it. And, even though executives at massive companies will get excited about CareCo, the chances of it actually bearing fruit in a real way and trickling all the way down to the end user, which is all that really matters at the end of the day, because we're here to impact patients' lives at the end of the day. And that's where it is pretty slim.
Right.
So, yeah, I've been thinking about that.
So do you think that limits us to one-off companies, so to speak? Meaning I'm assuming any company, any care coordination company, let's say that has like 8 million patients. I'm assuming it's like a big organization like this where you have to get in like a few levels removed. No? So do you think? So
even then, I feel like if you're going to spend energy as especially bootstrap team where you have every ounce of energy is important, build your way up to those teams. Like at the end of the day, when you knock on those doors and you have, 500,000 patients, you look a lot different than when you have 500 patients, right? So, and they are still, the bigger the company, the longer the buying cycle is going to be. So I'm not saying don't put any energy there, but don't get excited about it, and I wouldn't again put like a lot of emphasis on these big deals and big ideas. Rather go find 100 small companies who can move fast, make a decision fast, adopt a technology that each have, 1,000 patients, and boom, that's 100,000 patients,
Right.
Rather than trying to get that big deal and talking 10 big deals that one of them might land you 100,000 patients, it's just kind of a waste of energy.
Right. It's funny. I used to work a lot with musicians and artists, like doing marketing with them and stuff like that. And something that I used to say, it was more like a realization that I had, but a lot of times they were Jewish artists. So a lot of times they would focus on like, hey, how do I get big in the Jewish world? And it like hit me at one point, and I would always tell them, like, if you focus on getting big in the non-Jewish world, by definition, if you're famous in the quote unquote non-Jewish world, by definition, every single Jewish person is gonna look up to you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's it's like a weird analogy for this, but it's like, if you focus on a lot of smaller ones, build up, you have 1 million patients across, but a bunch of smaller than these big ones who have 1 million as well. It's a lot easier integration.
Right. So like, you have this
bit of a backwards analogy for that, but
yeah. No, I think that, your analogy, I think, is more due to just this like interesting, like FOMO vibe that happens a lot, where people are just like, oh, someone else thinks that you're cool, so I think you're cool. But,
yeah, exactly. That's true.
But yeah. Do you still do music at all?
If I'm like,
you play, right? What do you play?
I like sort of play. I mainly produce. That's like my main thing. So it's like on a computer. But I don't produce, like, ever since starting CareCo, I don't produce for anybody.
Yeah.
If I'm like bored and like feel like I just like it's relaxing for me. So like sometimes I'll just like make a little beat randomly, but
nice.
Yeah.
What do you sort of play? Piano,
I sort
guitar?
of play a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah?
Like guitar, piano, bass, drums.
Nice. And your father's a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Did you grow up was he like is he primary care? What is he?
I don't actually know. Well, right now he does telemedicine, so I guess it's a sort of primary care.
It's probably, yeah. But you grew up, he was like in clinic and stuff, like
I grew up, yeah. Well, so when I was 5, I was born in Toronto, and then when I was 5, my father decided to become a doctor, and so we moved to Israel. He went to a medical school in Israel. I think it's called Sackler. So it's basically you go to medical school in Israel, but you get a license to practice in America. That's how it works, and it's like a lot cheaper. Little hack.
Do that. It's like getting your driver's license in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. I have mine from Florida.
Right. It's like the number one hack. Yeah.
Yeah. So, So I don't remember much of him in medical school. I went with him. I went to the graduation. I remember going up on stage with him.
That's adorable.
Like me and my siblings, we went while he got his diploma.
In Israel?
In Israel, yeah.
Nice.
And then I remember, so then we moved to Cleveland. He did residency for 1 year at Cleveland Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So that I remember, like, he would be gone, like, some nights the whole night because you have to do, like, the overnight shifts and stuff like that. And then he did the other 4 years of his residency at University of Rochester. So that was more, I think, that was more of a normal schedule from what I remember. Like more 9 to 5 style, from what I remember. I was pretty young and wasn't like the type of thing that I paid that much attention to, but
just the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So who's the first person that you would hire
like first
to grow the team? Yeah. Editor?
I would really love a short form editor.
Yeah.
I think we can like 20x our output with a short form editor because they're so short.
All they do.
And, you know, they get views nowadays. Like, you know, we could have a debate or like analyze whether our target customer is on shorts. I would say, yeah, because everybody is, you know. But I think a short form editor would like 20x our output pretty immediately. Like if all they did was focus on shorts, then if somebody decent could put together, especially with a lot of the templates that I already have, they could probably put out 5-6 shorts a day, and that's like the low end.
Yeah.
So
that
would
like
be really cool.
An hour and a half a short, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like it could even be a bit quicker than that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I get all these ads on Instagram, like when I scroll through reels and stuff like that, I get every ad for every company in our space, like a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send me some.
Yeah, I will. Although you can't send them for some reason. Often you can't send them.
Just take a screenshot.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot. But, and I always wonder about that. Like at the end of the day, care coordination is such a draining job. I don't think our target actual end user is sitting there doom scrolling at night on a social media platform and looking for, and like, you're going to like catch their attention if you start talking about their job and like a thing that might help them at work. Besides for the fact that the end user is not the buyer in our scenario, right? Because we're a B2B product. But like even the manager who's sitting at home, I don't know, maybe they are.
I heard there's actually a recent thing that I saw. It was like a study that was put out. 2 things I want to say. One is this. So this study was basically pointing out that in B2B, generally at any given point, only 5% of the actual market is looking to buy. 95% of people are happy with what they have. And there's like a buying cycle, like companies will switch. They're like, nobody's always looking for a new CRM. It's like every few years something comes up and you might be on the lookout, you know? So the idea is like at any given point, only 5% of your market is actually looking to buy. So what do you do with the other 95%? So the idea is exactly. So you put out stuff. I saw on LinkedIn recently, I don't know his name, but he was head of content for Gong, that, the sales, AI thing. Mm-hmm. So he was saying that they focus for like the first year with his team. They specifically never mentioned Gong in any of the things they put out. No features, nothing about the company. They only focused on the problems that the other 95% might be having. Product stuff they left to like the product team. I mean, they're a much bigger company, so they have that luxury. But so that's like one thing. Is like in general, I think you're 100% right. Like there's very few people that are actually on the lookout for like, oh, I need this.
Like, I think it's a waste of money to have like, and some of them even spend money on like filming, you know, these videos and stuff. So most of them are super lame. Like most of them are like immediate, like get me out of here. Right. But some of them you could tell they even put energy in. It's like, I think I would literally run ads. I would just do like well-run, funny skits that have to do with care coordination. Like there's so many of them. Like every care coordinator has stories for days about all the random crap they go through with their patients. Like that's the type of stuff that I think to your point, you just put out, doesn't talk about CareCo, but you're just pushing on the pain point, whether it's documentation or planning or annoying or like not knowing, like, not knowing something that like the patient brings up that should be super obvious. You just like blink out and, like all the things that technically CareCo solves for, but not in an obvious way. That's just like fun and entertaining and something that you might actually, want to see. And then you're maybe not even running ads on it. You know who does this really well? Really, really well? Morning Brew.
I'll check it out.
Crush. They started like maybe a year ago. I remember when they started, like I saw the first couple videos. They started like less than a year ago, maybe a year ago.
Oh, you're talking about like the skits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just, and it's just, they all the office staff, they found a couple people that are funny and they come up with these skits that are like about news in the market. Technically, which is what Morning Brew is, right? They'll send you like these synopses,
like satire,
but they just make it satire. Exactly. They make these funny little skits. I think they do it brilliantly.
Yeah.
Brilliantly.
Yeah. The way to run ads nowadays is you post a lot organically, and the things that do well organically, you then take it and you like add a little call to action to it and you put it as an ad. Because if you run an ad that wouldn't do well as organic content, it's also not going to do well as an ad because it lives in the same space. You're still scrolling through it. So if you have a piece of content that like gets 1 million views, then you put money into that as an ad, that's the killer. Like that's how you do it. And then also retargeting is another thing, meaning somebody visited your website, clicked book demo, and then left. So those are people that, you can pretty much assume they're interested, and then you just remind them with a few ads. But even that, it's like 4 or 5 ads, and then they're out if they don't take action, That's like the smart way to do it. There's also different, there's like 4 different, there's like 4 different categories of people in generally. Like there's people that there's people that don't even know they have a problem, right? That's one. Then there's people that know they have a problem, but they don't know what the solution is. Then there's people that know they have a problem and they know what the solution is. And then there's people that know they have a problem and they know what your solution is. And so like you ideally want to focus on all of those, right? Like let's say, separately, like you want to have content for those buckets, and for the people that don't even know they have a problem, going and being like, check out CareCo and our new ambient feature. It's like, what are you even talking about? So, but the people that are like, I know I have a problem and I know that there's all these ambient listeners out there. I just don't know which one is right for me. Then CareCo, then it's like, oh, check out this one, So, yeah. So like there's a whole like,
funnel.
Yeah, it's all funnel. It's like a whole system.
Yeah. So we got to start, so Shorts Editor would really help you start building out. Like you could basically start talking about strategy, and we can get things filmed, and then cutting them and editing them and actually producing them for each of those personas. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So shorts. I mean, right now, if we got a short editor today, the first thing I would probably task them with is going through all of healthcare trailblazers and probably start with that, and just like. There's probably a good 14, 15 shorts in every single episode.
For sure.
That could be pulled out. And like, let's see where that takes us. That could be a few months,
Right.
Right.
So you're saying we need 3 shorts editors.
I mean, yeah. We need, ideally.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, knowing us, if we only got one, they would probably have to be still doing multiple things, but if we had the luxury of just having them focus on one thing, I would have somebody just focus on that, because there's probably the most gold to dig up.
Yeah,
over there.
We did nothing with the Cuban podcast, and with like there's so many podcasts that have a lot of gold in them. Yeah, for sure.
What about you? What would be the first hire you make?
I think a sales guy but like. I try to like rethink the position a little bit, but I have come across a couple good people in the space that I know, and I would like to have somebody that can really understand the care coordination market and then just spend all day going after these smaller companies that are doing care coordination, either with their own technology or with other people's technology, and just sell CareCo to those guys.
So kind of like what Jay is doing, but like only focused on that.
Yeah, but a little bit like warmer, like with a more targeted like demographic. Like basically take all of our existing clients and turn that into like a buyer persona. And then, and then just go after all those companies. There's hundreds of them.
I might know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the podcast.
Understands the care coordination space. Or they're just persistent.
Well, no, he works in the healthcare space, not specifically in care coordination.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you after the podcast. I don't want to like.
Yeah. And then maybe like, so I'd probably get a couple of those going, like maybe someone for the home care space. I was at a home care show last night. I want to prove that out a little bit more, but, I think that there's a lot of just like just the direct stuff, like the bigger strategic stuff I could still work on, like the larger picture things, the big people, like I can still do that. But I think that we can accelerate pretty quickly with just like, all right, you go talk to these people every day. Your job is to find these people, figure out how to talk to them, go travel out there, go knock on the doors, like whatever it is, just go get in front of these people, show them CareCo. We know they can use it. Here, you do that. You take this version of CareCo, go run it with home care. You run it with doctor's offices. You run it with this, you run it with that. And just, that's probably what I would do.
Nice. Commission, or meaning, why not start? Or meaning,
No.
You would want to pay them
salary, yeah.
Salary. Okay, interesting.
Need salary. I don't think commission jobs. I think commission jobs that are sold as commission jobs are usually a scam.
Yeah, fair enough.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like you sell some young kid and it's like, that's not even what I want. I want someone that's actually competent and talented and can actually go execute. And if they can actually execute, then they're valuable. And if they're valuable, then you need to pay them.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's true. What do you think in the most optimized form of CareCo, like when it's like running as a spaceship or as a cyber truck?
Yeah.
What do you think your job looks like?
Well, I hope it's not dealing with just lawyers and investors all day. That's what I hope it's not going to be. In my ideal world, basically, is what you're asking.
Sure. Yeah.
Or what do I expect it to be?
Both.
In my ideal world, I get to really just focus in on like vision and ideas. At the end of the day, I think that's what you are at your essence as a founder CEO specifically. That's all you are. Like you had an idea and you figured out how to bring it to life. That's the only, like, you're valuable for two reasons and two reasons only. The first reason is that you had an idea, and the second reason is that somehow you convince people smarter and more talented than you to actually make it happen.
Right.
That's the only reason that a founder CEO is valuable. And so I think being able to get back to that, like I have so many ideas very often, and obviously we would have to have, frameworks and how to implement whatever, but just like to be able to decide new things to work on and then have the teams to actually work on them. So basically when you start a company, you have an idea, you get it built, just to continue to do that with more and more sub ideas, and have this amazing idea for content. But, here, okay, now you get it done. You could pop in and see like what's going on with it and check in on it. That would, I think, be the most fun version of being a CEO, is just being back at just vision and conducting. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And then what do you expect it to be like?
I expect it to be pretty difficult, and dealing with a lot of fires. I do think that naturally I tend to delegate pretty well, and I feel like people that have fires all day, every day, it's because they don't delegate and they don't know how to delegate. Like I have this, as I preached a million times, this like theory of you have to have a parity of authority and of responsibility and accountability, basically, or authority and responsibility, where you're given the authority to do your job, but then you also bear the responsibility to do your job. And if you can create a parity of that at every single level, then you shouldn't really have fires. Like, thank God I've been blessed that in my other company, like my management team, they're incredible, but like the vibe is that basically when they come to me with things, they never come to me with problems. They always come to me with like, here's what's going on. Here's the couple proposed solutions. Here's the pros and cons. Your job is to decide what direction you want us to go in. Right. And that, I love doing that. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll think about it. I'll get feedback. I'll ask some people some stuff, and then I'll make a decision. So I do feel like these people that are like constantly just putting out fires all day, it's just because they haven't set that up correctly. So I hope to set it up correctly and
You are very good at
do that. Thanks.
Like I feel that.
Yeah.
I noticed that pretty quickly from joining that, that you left it up to me to make decisions as opposed to like micromanaging, which is, I think, very, very important. Yeah. I mean, for like, especially for the type of person I am, like, I thrive in that sort of environment where it's like, here, it's yours. Make decisions and then look back to you for like, feedback, of course. But even the feedback is not like, just because I say something, you have to do it. But then also there are certain things that I put in your authority, which is like CareCo, like the public, perception of CareCo, I feel like is very closely tied to you. So
right.
There are meaning, but
that's part of your strategy.
Exactly.
Meaning to be effective for the thing that you want to do.
That's a good point.
You know, if you felt that I was badly affecting the image, then you would steer us in a different direction. You know,
yeah.
As an example,
for sure. But you do that very well.
Thanks.
So compliments to you.
Thanks. What was I going to say?
Yeah. About the taking responsibility and going with it.
I don't know. Yeah. But, so I feel like that's something that, like people that are just putting out fires all day, they just didn't set up properly. So I hope that's not going to be the thing, but look, at the end of the day, you know, and I already, just the bigger you get, the bigger like challenges you're facing. And I hope that, but also the bigger excitements you're working with. So like, I think that the highs get higher and the lows get lower, or maybe they balance each other out, which is probably more what happens.
Right. Like you just get used to it.
Yeah. Like it just becomes another day. Yeah. Just like, you know, today, you know, you speak to these guys like, today I was up 100 million and then I was down, 400 million, but whatever, so I don't know. We'll see. But, I was talking to somebody about some big idea that I have, like some massive idea. And he was like, yeah, no, it's bugging me. There's a fly in that light. And he was like, do you think you're ready to do this idea? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm 28 and I have 3 kids. I've been married for 7 years. I have a house and 2 companies. Wasn't ready for any of that. So like, and I don't mean it in a cocky way. I just mean it like
you can't know if you're ready.
Yeah, you can't know if you're ready. You do the thing and hopefully you learn as you go and you become ready as the steps happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you fall, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I feel like you can't really, in life, it's very hard to fall. Okay, maybe I'm being too optimistic.
No, you're not.
Thinking it through. Like, I was going to say, it's very hard to fall into like this pit and never be able to get out.
No, you're not being too optimistic.
Well, I'm just thinking like somebody could, God forbid, get in like some crazy accident and be paralyzed and whatever.
Okay.
But even then you could still make the best out of it. And
right.
There are examples of people that do that.
But also that's different. That's a class of something that happens to you without warning or without anything and that's just something that unfortunately could just happen. If it, I think what you're talking about, which is 100% spot on, which I have to work on, because one of the other things that you do as the person who's responsible at the end of the day for everything is like, I'm always thinking of all the things that could go wrong in like 10 steps. You know what I mean? And something that's really important to recognize is the point that you just said, that the worst case scenario literally never happens. Like you dream up the worst case scenario. First of all, you could become comfortable with the worst case scenario. Israel was advising me of this week, but then, just about in general, actually nothing to do with CareCo, but that never happens. Like literally I was talking to a friend this week. He's a guy who is extremely successful today. I don't want to give too much detail, but he's in venture and he's doing like a ton of stuff and he's very well respected and he's very well off and he's just very successful. And his story is he built one of the hottest companies in a certain space. And it was like it was like at one point an insane valuation. He did the whole thing and he raised and the series and this and that. And it was like a massive company, and another company came along, disrupted the space and just destroyed his company.
Wow.
And it happened so fast. There wasn't even time for him to react to it, and just boom, in one day, not one day, but like it just fell apart. And he went from being the hottest company to literally just like non-existent. And that sounds like a worst case scenario. You know what I mean? And I asked him, like, how'd you deal with that? And he's like, it's like, so I'm not going to share what he said because it's his own stuff, but like the practical is that he's fine. He not only survived, he's thriving. You always learn things from every experience. And the worst case scenario literally doesn't have, like, even in that sounds like the worst case scenario. It wasn't. Like, he got all these relationships and he had this, that, and the other, and he had made moves while he was there that ended up like panning. Like, you don't ever go from just like the top of the mountain to all of a sudden you're like dead. You know, like that just doesn't happen.
I mean, you could die.
Yeah,
but
you
like
could literally die, but beyond that,
point, it's not even
right. That doesn't matter.
Then you're out of the game.
Yeah. So yeah, the worst case scenario literally never happens. And by the way, usually the best case scenario.
And even if it does happen, even if the worst case scenario does happen, it's still not the end of the world. Meaning you could still get out of it. You still
right.
You're not like in a ditch and you just like are in hell.
Right.
Forever now.
Right. And someone banged the nails in a board and you're just, you're stuck in a cage.
I feel like that's maybe that's like a mindset thing also. It's like, if you have like, I guess a victim kind of mentality, that like life is happening at you,
right,
so to speak.
Right.
Or in spite of you, and you have no control then. Then anything could set you off. You could trip and like it's the end of the world, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what time it is, but I'm exhausted. Actually I got back at 2 a.m. I was in New York last night. I had a Samsung Health Partners event and then a home care agency event. And but this was a lot of fun. I don't know how many weeks I think it's going to be quite a few. So definitely looking forward. I want to hear like more unpacking a lot of that strategy, and I think it's good. Like, we don't do this often enough, like actually sit and talk about the strategy. And I think that like understanding the way you think about things, which I think is really powerful and structured, and which is why you're so good at what you do, and like structuring the things and having frameworks around it. Even just hearing the ideas will help me like think of content ideas and think of ways of moving things and stuff like that. So this was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. This was fun.
Cheers.
Cheers.